very good evening. Welcome to your Wealth, the show that looks at all things money markets and investments. And today we're going to be talking about how companies, with their mission, are able to deliver high impact solutions, and also to see what can set them apart in the industry that they'll be working in. And in the studio, I'm joined by Mr. Gerald Zangara, who is the director for Godspeed Performance Solution. And we're just going to be talking about business performance, how you can keep your business up running, and also just to get some information on how you can keep it, being sustained. So how are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome, I'm good. Let me get straight into my first question. Now, with your extensive background in business and finance, we're talking about your role in the Zimbabwe Accounting Practices Board. How do you define wealth in today's fast-paced economy?
Okay, for us, wealth is, if you are looking at an individual, a person, wealth is defined as you are at a point where you can meet all your financial obligations.
Okay.
And you actually have surplus after meeting your financial obligations. So from an accounting perspective, that's what we look at. And from a business perspective, we're saying, as a business, are you meeting all the obligations that you have? And after you've met all those obligations, do you have a profit that is left? That profit becomes your wealth that you're building.
Okay, quite interesting that you've mentioned that as an individual, you're supposed to have money that will be able to meet all your needs and then have some left. So if I'm not at that stage, then how would you call me?
If you are not at that stage, that means you are not wealthy.
Okay. All right. No, does that put me under the poverty bracket, or it's
Okay, poverty is a subjective matter.
Okay.
It's defined in different countries and in different ways. But if we are looking at it from just an individual wealth perspective, we are saying if you as an individual are able to survive, to meet all your needs, all your financial needs, you've got financial stability and your financial freedom, then you are wealthy. If you are unable to meet your basic needs, then definitely you are below the poverty that I'm like.
All right, now that's fine. Now, as an extensive coach, what specific mindset shifts and skills do you emphasize to your clients who aim to build wealth, and how can our viewers apply these principles in their own lives?
Okay, so what we do at Godspeed Performance Solutions is we provide business performance solutions. So what we've noticed is that most companies offer specific performance solutions. They can be probably looking at your financial performance, or they can be looking at your human resources performance, but they don't look at it holistically.
Okay.
So at Godspeed, we look at the business holistically. And what we are seeing within our clients is that the performance management is not being looked at in a balanced way. So people are focusing, organizations are focusing on one particular thing at the expense of others. Some are just focusing on the short term. They just want to make it past tomorrow. So they don't look at the long term. There's no investment, there's no planning. Some are looking at just the financial aspect, that they want to be able to have cash, but they are not looking at the fact that are they making a profit? And are they investing in the capacity of the organization for it to produce further income? Also, we look at issues of sustainability, because right now, as the world and as the globe, we are looking at green issues, climate change. What is the cost to the environment? What is the cost to the world of this organization? So at Godspeed Performance Solutions, we look at all those performance metrics, and then we then say your business is performing well or performing badly on all those aspects.
Oh, incredible. Now, now that you're saying that you look at this whole thing holistically, what strategies would you recommend for a business or individuals looking into building a long-term financial stability?
So one of the key things that we are seeing lacking is planning. Businesses are not planning. They are not planning in the next 5 years. They are not planning in the next 10 years. So if you want to be stable and if you want to grow, you have to have a plan.
Okay.
So if you look at where you are starting from, the first thing that is important is to have the mindset that this is a business. So once you come into it saying this is a business, the first thing that you need to do is to make sure that you set it up as a business. So you formalize the business. It's no longer an individual thing, but it's actually a business that has got a plan and that has got a direction that it is going. So strategy is a key issue that is lacking. And also one of the issues that we are seeing is performance measurement. And performance measurement, is the business doing well or not? Most corporates don't look at that. So you find that the average business then fails suddenly because no one was tracking the performance metrics. So in terms of record keeping, because you've got past records, how you've performed in the past, you've got the present that you need to also be looking at how is the business performing now, and the future, where is it going and how is it performing vis-a-vis where it is going to. So those actually are a balanced way of looking at the performance of the business in the long term for sustainable.
Sustainable, all right. Now, I'm just curious to find out. You mentioned that some corporates do not really look into looking into business performance. They don't give time to it. I'm curious to know, why is it they don't look into it?
Okay, the first thing that we noticed is that the word corporate comes from the word cooperation, which means this is individuals and stakeholders that are cooperating to achieve a particular objective. So one of the reasons why there is no attention to performance measurement is because the performance standards are not set. There are no goals that are set. So if you do not set what you want to achieve, that means you can't measure yourself to say have you achieved it. So the planning I was talking about, the budgeting, it's something that is when you look at it, it looks unimportant because people are trying to survive just for the day. But that planning, that strategic planning, is the most important because it drives everything that the business is doing.
All right. Well, thank you very much for laying that one out. And I think when we come back in the next segment, I'll just have to again ask you this: how can now our viewers apply these principles in their own lives? So thank you very much for bringing that into light. Thank you very much, viewers, for joining us for the first segment of Your Wealth. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to the second segment of Your Wealth, and I'm joined by Gerald Zangara, who is the director of Godspeed Performance Solution. Basically, today we're looking at how businesses, can look at how they're performing in order for them to see how the future looks like for them. So we're just talking about some of the long-term financial solutions that people can apply, that rather businesses can apply in their day-to-day business. But I want to take it, bring it closer to home, with our viewers who are watching. As an individual, how can one, apply these principles in their own lives to ensure that they get, a benefit from what you're saying?
Okay, so again, it comes back to the mindset.
Okay.
That you have to run your life like a business.
Okay.
If you want to create wealth. Because the only method that we know of that creates credible, honest wealth is through a company, through a business. So as an individual, you have got to have your life managed in such a way that it is actually performing to the level that it produces income for you. So bring it down to the basics that we understand. We know for certain that from the beginning of time, mankind has known that if you want to achieve something, you have to sacrifice. That's why in terms of religion, they have sacrifices, because they believe that if we put this in sacrifice, we are going to gain in future. So it's the same with the individual. The individual has got to sacrifice in terms of investing their time and investing in themselves. So when you are running yourself like a business, you're actually putting investment in yourself. You are building skill, you are building capacity for you to be able to produce more income. So one of the things that today is a big issue is the issue of attention. There's so much distraction that is happening on social media with technology and all the like. So people are finding it difficult to focus on goals that develop themselves. And the other thing attention is very important. What are you attending to? On a daily basis, you are supposed to make sure that what you are attending to speaks to the business that you want in future and the wealth that you want in future. So everything that you do, it comes back to your habits. Your habits, you've got to have habits that are investment habits, not consumptive habits. So the income that one is earning, for an individual, if they're earning income, the gurus in investment say if you get your income, suppose you're working and you get a salary, the first thing that you do is you set aside a certain percentage, 20, 30% for investment. What is left now, the 70%, is what you consume. But now what most people are doing today is they first want to consume, then what is left is what they're saying they want to invest, of which it's supposed to be the other way around.
Interesting. Now, having worked with numerous businesses, can you share examples of how entrepreneurship has been a game changer for wealth creation?
So, entrepreneur, the actual word comes from risk. So it means you are taking risk and returns. The only way that one can create wealth is if sacrifice, like what I mentioned. And when you sacrifice, you are investing something, you are taking a risk. So entrepreneurship is very important because without it, people will not invest in businesses. But if people are willing to take risks, take their money and invest it in businesses, that's how you create wealth. So wealth creation comes from entrepreneurship. The richest people in the world today, if you go through their profiles, they are actually entrepreneurs who started certain businesses. Without that, we don't have anyone who has created wealth without going through the business model.
Interesting. And what key traits are successful entrepreneurs possess? What are those traits do they possess?
So when we're talking about being an entrepreneur, you have to have a different mindset from the ordinary person. And one of the key traits of entrepreneurs is they see problems differently. People complain about problems, but an entrepreneur sees a problem as an opportunity. So for instance, people may be complaining that I'm failing to get water to drink. So the average person will just complain and say there's no water. But the entrepreneur will now think, how do I get water and sell it to these people? And that's how they create their wealth. So it is important that we embrace problems and that we look at problems as opportunities, not as obstacles. So the more problems that we have, the more opportunities that are there for entrepreneurs. And an entrepreneur is someone who has seen a problem and has a solution to that problem, and people are willing to pay for that solution. So that's the mindset that is required
for entrepreneur. Interesting. Now, with your vast experience in business and capital markets, can you please just break down the difference between money markets and stock markets, and also provide insights on how investors can navigate these markets effectively?
Okay. So a market is a place where buyers and sellers meet. And the best example that we have is the Sika market. And that market has been studied by a lot of economists, and it's one of the best price discovery systems that is known in the world. It's just that we take it for granted. So you've got buyers who've got products, you've got buyers who have got the cash, you've got sellers who've got products, and there's a price mechanism whereby they negotiate and the price comes out. And the price is constantly moving. That's a market. We're not talking about a money market. We're talking about individuals or organizations that have surplus money. They are the suppliers of money. And we're talking of individuals and corporates that need money to fund either their operations or their day-to-day activities. So the money market is where these two come together. And the price of money is the interest rate. So if someone is going to lend you $1,000 today, they're going to lend you at a price of a specific interest rate. So the buyer, the seller meet, they agree on an interest rate. The advantage with the money market is that the returns are guaranteed.
Okay.
You get your interest. There's no restriction as to you getting your interest back. We're not talking about stock markets. So
I'll have to cut you short there so that we can continue this in the third segment.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, viewers, for joining us for the second segment of Your Wealth. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to the final segment of Your Wealth, where we're talking about how business can, get into the habit of checking how they are doing in order for them to get maximum profits. And in the studio, I am joined by Mr. Gerald Zangara, who is the director for Godspeed Performance Solution, and we're just, laying out some of, the things that business need to do in order for them to thrive. Now, we're just talking about the difference between money markets and also stock markets, and you're now moving into stock markets. You can continue with that.
Okay, so previously I mentioned that the best way that we know of creating wealth is starting a company and having a business. So when one starts a company, they need money for the company to operate.
Okay.
Now, they may not have sufficient money to be able to meet the needs of that company. So what they can do is they can then say, I need people to come and contribute towards the money that I need to start the business.
Right.
So those contributors are what we call shareholders, because they are then taking a share of the business. So those shareholders, their ownership is evidenced by a share certificate. And the share certificate then is what we call stock.
Okay.
So when we're talking about stock, we're talking about shares in a company.
All right.
And the person who gets a share in a company, their returns come in two ways. The first return is that the company performs well. We're talking about Godspeed Performance Solutions. So the company performs well, it increases its value. As the value of the company increases, that means if you own 10% of 100, that's what you put in. Then the company moves to 1,000 in terms of value. You now own 10% of 1,000.
Right.
So capital gain.
Okay.
You've already benefited from the capital gain. Then there are also dividends that come. These are payments that are made to shareholders. So if you're going to look at it from a simple example, we can say that the African traditional wealth is a cow. So we say the cow is what you have invested in. So we say that's your share.
All right.
And then the dividend is the milk that the cow is giving you.
Okay.
So you find that you still have the value of the cow increasing. At the same time, you are deriving milk from the company, from the cow. But you have the risk that this cow might die or this cow might not produce milk. So once that happens, you no longer have a cow. You no longer have a company. Whereas the money market we're talking about, your interest is guaranteed.
It's guaranteed.
So your question was, how do individuals navigate this? It now depends with your risk appetite, what we call risk appetite. That is, what is your affordable loss?
Okay.
If you don't have an affordable loss, it means you can't afford to lose this money that you're investing. Then you go to the money market because your returns are guaranteed. But if you have an affordable loss, that means you're saying, I'm okay, I'm financially stable. Even if I lose this money, I'm still fine. You have an affordable loss. And then you can invest on the stock market. The returns on the stock market are higher because the higher the risk, the greater the return.
The return.
So the chances of you being wealthy are higher when you are on the stock market than on the money market.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Now let's move on to the digital age. How should investors approach news on social media to stay informed without getting caught up in market noise? And what sources do you trust for financial insights?
Okay. So what we have seen in Godspeed Performance Solutions is that the customer feedback is no longer coming through your suggestion box.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer coming through your formal channels.
Mm-hmm.
It's people out there talking about you.
Okay.
So as an entrepreneur, you need to know what are people saying about us out there.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're saying about you out there is on social media. So you have to be on social media so that you hear what people are saying about your product. I said the best way of wealth creation that we know is a business.
Mm-hmm.
And the business is driven by customers. Customers are the ones that bring the money.
The money.
So if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. You don't have cash. But if you have customers, you have cash flow and you have a business.
Mm-hmm.
So social media is very important for the entrepreneur, because one of the things that I mentioned earlier is an entrepreneur solves problems.
Okay.
And they are paid to solve those problems.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you will know what those problems are is on social media.
Okay.
That's why people talk about them. People complain there. So complaints are very important. When you are an entrepreneur, you have this mindset that you are seeking complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Today we are saying that data is the new gold.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're saying that data is the new gold, we're saying whoever has information about what problems people have, that's the person who actually will be able to make the most.
Okay.
So the approach is there is an opportunity, but that opportunity is being spoken by people out there on social media, and one needs to do that. What is a reliable source of news? 3K TV.
Of course.
This show.
Yeah.
Because this is well researched.
Mm-hmm.
This, you bring seasoned guests who have been
Yeah.
in the industry. So it is very important that one tunes into these business programs.
Yeah.
And also, one is part of associations,
Okay.
business associations, professional bodies. They have reliable business information. And one of the things that we've seen also at Godspeed Performance Solutions is the Zim stats. They bring out statistics that are very, very interesting in terms of problems. You look at the Reserve Bank quarterly report, you look at the Ministry of Finance reports. All these reports are talking about issues that are taking place in the economy. Even the addresses that His Excellency makes, he speaks of issues that are happening in the economy. So the entrepreneur should always be tuned into all this so that they understand what problems are there and how they can solve those problems.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Now, what final advice or message would you like to share with our viewers who are just starting, their wealth creation journey or looking in to take their finances to the next level?
My advice would be start now and start where you are.
Okay.
Don't wait for someone to push you. Don't wait for something to happen. Now is the right time. With the little that you have, start investing that little. Start seeking for information. Start seeking for opportunities. But start now. It's very important that you start now.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming through to your wealth. It's always a good time when you come through and you share with us, this very important information. And I believe our viewers have enjoyed and have taken notes on how they're supposed to, conduct their business. But one thing that I think I should just say that caught my attention is when you said run your life like a business. I think that's something that is very important for individuals, especially in this day and age, to say, don't just live a life where there is no meaning or where you're not going to get any benefit or profit from it. So thank you very much, for putting that into light.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, there you have it, viewers. That was your wealth today. It's always a pleasure having you. Please make sure that you tune in next time, and we'll give you more of the business insights that you need to know so that you can run your business smoothly. So thank you very much for joining us. See you next time.